Hello, welcome. It's a sports talk with Girl Dad bonus. I'm Bob Alvis. I'm going to pick the brain of Cam Shepard here real quick. Cam Shepard, a former player in the ODAC. Randolph had Alumni Day yesterday. Big win for the Wildcats. He also spent a season on the bench with Pete Hamilton, and you've gotten to know a lot of people through
Sure.
the high
Yep.
school ranks and the college ranks. So we're just going to kind of brain pick a little bit and talk about the coaching styles and philosophies in the ODAC a
Yeah.
little bit. So I'll just name a school and you can talk about the head man and whatever you want to talk about.
Sure.
Man, Randolph-Macon's been really good.
Yeah, they have. They have. Those guys, obviously, they're really, really well coached. You know, but to have guys like they have that are just that talented, that athletic, that skilled, it's hard to beat those guys. I mean, for 5 years, they had Buzz Anthony running point. Maybe the most decorated player in ODAC history. I believe he was a 4-time ODAC Player of the Year. Um, a guy like Buzz who maybe stands 5'9" in height. If that guy's 6'2", he's a major D1 player.
Right.
He's that skilled. His work ethic is that high. When you have guys like that leading, then in the ODAC, you have 6'8", 6'9", your inside guys that can also move, that can also step out and shoot. Your wings are athletic. It's a tough night when you face Macon, whoever you are.
Well, and you look at previous guys that have coached at Randolph-Macon. Greg Marshall pops to mind.
Yeah.
Mike Rhodes pops to mind.
Yeah.
Nathan Davis pops to mind.
Yep.
And I think Josh Merkel is a very good coach.
Josh Merkel could probably have left at this point for a low D1 job, if I'm guessing. I don't know that for a fact, but the amount of success he's had there, I have to imagine his name pops up for those jobs. So I think he could be right in line with those guys you just named.
I started the Sports Buffet podcast, probably in the early 2000s. I got to talk to a lot of ODAC coaches who are not there anymore. Some are new, so I've kind of been reintroducing myself. But one guy that's been there since the beginning and has been super great to me with interviews. He don't know me from Adam a lot of times, but Tom Palumbo in Guilford.
Yeah, what a program that's just stood the test of time. You always know when you're playing Guilford. First of all, their program is founded on being just a defensive juggernaut. That they're gonna get stops. It's gonna be hard to get into the interior on those guys. A lot of times you're gonna have to shoot it well from the outside to beat them. And then they always have big, strong, skilled post guys that will do the dirty work, will post hard, will find shooters if they draw a double team. Things like that. And Coach Palumbo is always right on cue with his scouting report as well. So they're always at the top in the ODAC every single year.
When you look at Virginia Wesleyan, Dave Macedo's been there for a good long while. People might say, well, it's easy. Macedo never has to leave his backyard because he's got so many richly talented people in that 757. But still, you got to get them to come to your place, and Macedo's done a great job with that.
You do have to get them to come to your place, and then you have to get them to buy into your philosophies. You have to get them to buy into your system, which he's fantastic at. Those guys, every year, they're probably the most athletic team, if not right there in line with Macon. But they also have really skilled guys. They'll defend you with pressure. If you turn the ball over, those guys are going to turn it into a dunk on the other end. Really, really successful program. Have a national championship not too far back. Just an outstanding program.
And one of Coach Macedo's assistants, Nick Nurse, has headed to Shenandoah.
Yeah.
Shenandoah's always kind of been that, they haven't always been because they haven't been in the ODAC for so long, but it's almost like, what do we expect out of that box?
Yeah, Shenandoah is a program that I think is on the rise. Anytime that you are able to completely upgrade your facilities, and have things like that to offer to recruits, I think you're going to see a rise in talent level. And anybody that's been in Shenandoah's facility, it's top notch. It's unbelievable, especially for a Division III school. And then I think just, again, an area where there are just recruits by the many, and to look maybe within a 50-mile radius of your school. I mean, they're just there. And, it makes it a lot easier to recruit when guys can just, whenever they feel like it, just come watch one of your games or be on your campus, So I think we're going to see a rise in Shenandoah for sure.
You played for Clay Nunley at Randolph. Clay Nunley's taken over Roanoke and, has just turned them into maybe a more advanced level. I remember so many times when he was at Randolph, very matter-of-fact guy. I mean, Clay Nunley is not going to necessarily carry on a lot of foolishness with you, but really great guy, and took a lot of teams farther than they should have gone just on talent alone.
Yeah, I was on one of those teams that made it to the conference championship that no one probably would have picked to be in the conference championship. But, hands down, Clay Nunley's probably the best basketball mind I've ever been around. He just, whatever it is, he has it. And he forces a toughness out of you. Not only do you want to play hard for him, but it's a culture he establishes of toughness, of grit, of wanting to be there for your teammates, wanting to do things for your teammates. He instinctively creates that culture around the program. I think Roanoke College was picked to finish second in the ODAC this year. They bring a lot of talented guys back. And Coach Nunley's still trying to get that first ODAC championship. This could be the year that he does it. I think they have high hopes for their team. If I'm guessing, like I said, they're very talented. A lot of guys coming back. But, the thing about Coach Nunley is his team could be picked at the bottom of the ODAC. And come tournament time, his team's going to be ready. They're going to make a run. They're going to be well prepared for every game. His scouting reports are incredibly detailed. I always felt like I was ready going into every game with him. So Roanoke's going to make a lot of noise.
I'm going to hit a trio now. Avertt's new to the league, so I think a lot of it is maybe what do we see, but you saw a lot of good stuff in USA South.
Yep.
Ferrum, not as new, but definitely a program that you got to watch out for each night. And then finally, Hampton-Sydney. Hit all three of them.
Yeah, Avertt's a program that's been really successful in the USA South. They're going to come in and probably have a seamless transition into the ODAC. Always a good program, usually extremely athletic. So they're going to be a tough beat for anybody in the ODAC. Ferrum with a new coach and Coach Corrigan, he played at Hampton-Sydney. He's coached at a lot of places already in his young career. He's going to do a great job. He's going to have that program running the right way. Recruits are going to want to play for him. He's a great guy. So Ferrum's going to be another team that's a tough out every night. And then Hampton-Sydney, Caleb Kimbrough leading that program, who is a Guilford product, played for Coach Palumbo on phenomenal teams, Final Four teams actually, I think. You talk about great people. Coach Kimbrough is a fantastic person. He's easy to root for. Even when he beats you, he's classy and he's a great guy. But he's a fantastic coach. Sydney is a team that for a while there was struggling, and the second Coach Kimbrough came in, he had it rolling, and those guys are really good. I think they're picked in the top 5 in the league this year. He's another guy that just has it. It's obvious every time you play him. He's scouted well. His system works for the guys that he recruits, and his guys seem to love playing for him. Hampton-Sydney is Hampton-Sydney. They're tough to beat.
Did you play against Melvin Felix in high school?
I did. So I played at William Byrd, and Melvin Felix was the same graduating class at Salem High School.
Now he's at EMU.
Yeah.
As head coach. He also played at EMU, if I'm not mistaken.
Played at Roanoke College.
Played at Roanoke, I'm sorry. Played in the ODAC, though.
That's correct. Yep, played at Roanoke College.
He assisted Kirby Dean, I think is where I'm at.
He did. Melvin was a phenomenal player. Melvin was really, really hard to guard. He was as skilled a guard in the league during the time that he was a player at Roanoke. Another guy that when you watch his team, they seem to love playing for him. He gets a lot of kids that it just seems like they enjoy it, the time they're out there playing for them. EMU's another place that has a fantastic facility, right there in Harrisonburg near JMU, and great college town. So Melvin's another guy that has his teams prepared. They play hard. Again, no matter where they're picked, you've got to have them completely scouted correctly or they can beat you.
And another school that EMU is close to is Bridgewater.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Steve Enright is going to do a great job there, already doing a great job. And it's obvious he's another guy that people like to play for. He's had some transfers come in. I think he's had maybe 1 or 2 Division I transfers come in. Those guys are on the rise, to be honest with you. Bridgewater's going to be probably closer to the top maybe than they were picked. I want to say they were near the 6 or 7 spot. They may be much higher than that. They're very good, very talented, and Coach Enright does a great job. He's got a Division I pedigree. He was at VMI as an assistant, so he knows exactly what he's doing.
Laser focused too. When I've seen him on the sideline,
absolutely,
focused.
Yep.
And when you look at a school like Washington Lee, you might not find a lot of Virginia guys on the roster, but Chris McHugh does a really good job coaching those guys.
Yeah, so WNL has an interesting dynamic. It's really, really difficult to get into their school. It's a high academic school. So the guys that you see on their roster are guys with, really high GPAs in high school, really high test scores, along with being really good basketball players. Well, you may not be able to find that pedigree of guy all in just Virginia. You look at they have guys from Texas, they have guys from Michigan, they have guys from California. Wherever he has to go to find a guy that's high academic enough to get into the school, be accepted academically, and also be the level they're looking for to be competitive in the ODAC, and they find them.
Yep.
I don't know where they find them or how they find them, but they find them, and they are good, and they play a really fast pace. They get up a lot of shots. They are true to their style, and they are good.
2 fun facts. The athletic trainer for the men's basketball team went to JF and graduated like 2 or 3 years behind me, Matt Phillips.
Oh, okay.
And another fun fact, when I was working at WSCT, Sarah Bloom, who is a journalist at WSCT, went to Washington Lee.
Oh, wow. So, awesome. Yeah,
great
school.
That's my Washington Lee knowledge I can drop.
Obviously, if you go to WNL, you are very, very smart.
They wouldn't let me in. They wouldn't. I don't even know if they would let me into a basketball game.
Probably me either.
Chris McHugh might let me in now he's heard this. But final 2. Let's hit the Hill City. Randolph, coached by Pete Hamilton. Lynchburg, coached by Hillary Scott. Both great guys in my eyes.
Yeah, Hillary Scott's one of my favorite people in the ODAC. Been very good to me as a high school coach in this area. He's obviously doing a great job at Lynchburg. Hillary Scott's good for the Lynchburg area. He does a lot for the Lynchburg area, and just a great person, just a good person to be around. He'll check on you, and see how your season's going. He's got a son that plays at Jefferson Forest, who's also a very good player and a great kid. So he's around the high school scene, watching his son play, and it's pretty cool. You watch him with his son. He's just dad.
Yep.
He's not college coach recruiting. He turns into dad, which is pretty cool to watch him enjoy Isaiah's journey through high school basketball. And he's a really good player, so I'm sure he has a ton of fun watching him. But Coach Scott does a great job. He's a really good recruiter, gets really good players. Another team that's very true to their system, and they're very hard to beat.
High energy guy is Hillary. And the other thing I'll say is this. If you see Hillary out, he's kind of the same guy that you'll see in terms of he's not unapproachable.
No.
I mean, Hillary is one of the nicest people I have probably met.
Yep, and it's genuine. It's who he is. He'll stop and talk to you in the gym, at a basketball game. He'll stop and talk to you at a restaurant. It doesn't matter where. He'll take the time to say hello to you.
He could play. When he played, he could play.
Yeah, that's what I understand. That's what I've been told. He was a heck of a player. And then, Saban Randolph for last. Obviously, I have my own personal love for Randolph. You mentioned Alumni Day we had yesterday, and it was amazing seeing some old teammates and reliving some old things. I was lucky to be a part of that program. I was lucky to play for someone like Clay Nunley, who he just makes you a better person on and off the court. And then playing with guys like Pete Hamilton, who is the current head coach at Randolph College. Being in the Lynchburg area, I'm around the program as much as I possibly can. And I see Coach Hamilton firsthand. And the way he approaches the daily of being a college basketball coach, the way he takes pride in, when a parent drops their son off to college to play college basketball, they're handing them over to you as a coach, essentially. I know Coach Hamilton takes great pride in that. He wants to see them grow as young men. He wants to see them develop into great members of society. And then his basketball knowledge, especially, I think this is maybe year 7 for him, 6 or 7 at Randolph as the head coach. So very young in his head coaching career. His basketball knowledge is through the roof. He's great. His preparation is fantastic. I mean, the guy was already last night after a huge win. He was already back home watching film for their next game, getting prepared. He's dedicated to it. He loves it. Obviously, he's a friend. He's a close friend of mine, and somebody that our families are always together spending time with. So I have a, like I said, I have a bit of a bias towards him, and I admit that because I think he just does a great job. And being somebody that was a part of the program, it makes me feel good to know that, if the guy we played for is no longer the head coach there, somebody like Pete, who is going to be, intrinsically motivated to keep that program going in the right direction and have our guys playing at a certain level and have them playing a certain way. That's icing on the cake for me to be able to go and watch my friend coach those guys every time is amazing. And I tell Pete all the time, like, my support for the program, it's high because I played there and we played there, but my support for the program is really high because my friend is the guy running it, and I care about him, and I believe in him, and I believe the job he's going to do. That's my guy, and I'm proud of what he's doing there, and I'm excited to see what they're going to do this season.
Yeah, I'm a Pete Hamilton guy. I would like to say I'm his PA announcer, too. I'm your PA announcer.
Yep.
I'm PA announcers for Jeff Monroe. I'm PA announcers for a lot of people. I got to throw them all out there. But if Pete Hamilton wasn't at Randolph, I don't know that I'd be wanting to be the PA guy for him.
Yeah, and I think you would call Pete Hamilton a friend.
Absolutely.
Pete Hamilton would call you a friend.
And I love seeing him with Kobe, his son.
Yep.
Pete's the first time head coach and dad in the same season, and he's balancing it great. I got to take him a meal and just hang out with him for a little bit, and he didn't kick me out. That's always one of my favorite qualities in somebody.
Yeah, Pete's going to be a great dad. Pete, just like myself, has a fantastic wife that's very supportive, loves basketball, loves that he loves what he's doing, and then, he's had 2 great parents that have raised him the right way, so he's seen it done the right way. So, Pete's going to be an awesome dad.
I will take the last word and say you all both outkicked your coverage and have wonderful women behind you, and they're the real brains of this operation.
We did. I wouldn't be where I am without mine. I know that for sure, and I'm sure Pete would say the same thing.
The good doctor and Mrs. Shepard are wonderful women.
They are. They certainly are.
This is Bob Alvis and Cam Shepard. We'll talk to you soon on an episode of Sports Talk with Girl Dads.
Thanks, Bob.